The hall where Paul once held his meetings was thick with the scent of burning incense and candle wax. A sea of black-clad figures filled the space, murmurs of grief and anger swirling through the air like restless ghosts. They had gathered here after the funeral, where eulogies had been spoken and tears had been shed. But now, with Paul's casket buried, the sorrow had turned into something else, something volatile. "You should have done more," Xavier's voice thundered, cutting through the murmur of the crowd. "Me?" Vivian snapped, her grief-fueled rage making her eyes wild. "What about you? You stood by and watched as Paul carried all the weight. You think I wanted this? You think I wanted him dead?" Xavier roared, stepping forward, his fists clenched so tightly his knuckles turned white. "He saved you," Vivian shot back. "He saved all of us, and now he's gone, and we're just standing here, blaming each other like idiots." The argument rippled through the room, escalating as others joined in, shouting accusations, voices shaking with emotion. Fists clenched, veins bulged, and the air buzzed with raw tension, ready to explode. A sudden, sharp crack split the air. Gunfire. Screams erupted as chaos swallowed the room. The main doors slammed shut, locks clicking into place. Metal shutters crashed down over the windows, sealing everyone inside. Then, they appeared, masked figures in combat gear, rifles raised. A black flag bearing a twisted insignia was unfurled at the entrance. The Sons of Arian. The realization hit like a gut punch. "They're here to kill us," someone whispered in horror. The leader of the masked intruders stepped forward, his voice carrying across the room. "Your hero is dead. And now, so are you." The first shots rang out. Gang members who had come to pay respects to Paul instinctively reached for their weapons, but they were too slow. One by one, they were gunned down, their bodies crumpling like rag dolls. Blood splattered across the floor. The air reeked of gunpowder and death. Vivian ducked behind an overturned table, heart hammering against her ribs. She could hear the gunmen shouting to each other, rounding up survivors. "This isn't just a hit," Xavier hissed, crawling beside her, a pistol clutched in his grip. "They're making a statement. They wanted Paul, but now that he's gone, they're making sure his legacy dies with him," Vivian whispered. "And me, I'm their main target." Across the room, Shania was kneeling beside a wounded man, pressing her trembling hands against his bleeding stomach. She had no medical training, no supplies, just desperation and a promise she had made to Paul to do better. "They're killing everyone," she choked out, looking up at Xavier. "You can't fight them alone." "I have to," Xavier growled, checking his ammo. "I won't let them take her," a voice bellowed from the front of the room. "This is the beginning of a new order. And with this bloodshed, we will send a message. Either free our leader, Tyson, or we kill every last one of you." The room fell into a tense, horrified silence. And then, more gunfire. The siege had begun. Xavier didn't hesitate. He turned and fired, his shots precise, dropping the first two gunmen closest to him. The report of his pistol was deafening, echoing against the stone walls of the hall. Chaos erupted once more as survivors scrambled for cover, some trying to arm themselves with whatever weapons they could find. Vivian grabbed a knife from a fallen comrade, gripping it tightly as she crouched behind a pew. Adrenaline surged through her veins, her heartbeat thundering in her ears. She caught sight of one of the masked men reloading and took her chance. She lunged forward, plunging the blade into his side. He let out a strangled cry, collapsing onto his knees. She ripped the knife free, blood spurting onto her hands. Shania screamed as another soldier grabbed her by the hair, yanking her backward. She kicked and thrashed, but he was stronger. Xavier saw her struggle and pivoted, shooting the man in the head. The body crumpled, releasing Shania, who scrambled away, tears streaking her face. "We need to get out of here," she gasped. "There is no out," Vivian shouted back. "They locked us in." A grenade rolled across the floor, its metallic clink sending fresh waves of panic through the survivors. "Move," Xavier roared, diving over a bench just as the explosion ripped through the hall. The shockwave sent bodies flying, wood splintering, debris raining down like shrapnel. Ears ringing, vision blurry, Xavier forced himself up, shaking off the disorientation. He grabbed Shania by the arm, dragging her up. "We need a plan," Vivian said, coughing as smoke filled the room. "We hold them off until we can breach a way out," Xavier said grimly, reloading his gun. The Sons of Arian were relentless. More of them poured in through the main doors, rifles spitting bullets. The remaining survivors fought back, using whatever they could. Gunfire. Knives. Their own fists. The hall turned into a battleground, the once sacred space defiled by blood and death. The leader of the attackers watched from the entrance, his arms crossed as if savoring the slaughter. Then he raised a radio to his lips. "Burn it down." A new horror gripped Vivian as she saw masked men carrying fuel canisters, dousing the walls in gasoline. The scent of it filled the air, thick and nauseating. "They're going to incinerate us," she breathed. Xavier clenched his jaw. "Not if I kill them first." The fight was far from over.